and welcome to Morning Reflections. I am your host, the Fat Mantis. Boy, do I have a show for you today. First, we're going to start talking about last episode, where apparently my fan castings of the X-Men ticked a lot of you off. There was a lot of controversy, and it's not from the role you were thinking. The thing that pissed the most amount of people off are my fan castings of Wolverine. And I'm going to admit, not my finest hour. However, I've searched the internet, and no one seems to have the right answer. It is possible we won't know what Wolverine looks like until Wolverine is cast and we see what this person has done. Unless we were a fly on the wall of a casting director, we really have no idea what actor really can do a convincing Wolverine, but he is a very hard person to cast. But another person, a lot of people are not ready to see a black Cyclops, which is, I gotta push this envelope. Yahya Abdul-Mateen is possibly, currently, in my opinion, one of the most talented actors I've seen, at least for a long time. He seems to be have his hand in everything except the superhero genre, which is why it's perfect. Because look at him, he that square jaw, those good looks, amazing physique. He is meant to play a superhero. Forget Candyman. We need him in tights shooting eye beams. And to be honest, the only reason why I cast him and I thought it was time for a black Cyclops is because I gave the people what they want.
I think Yahya Abdul-Mateen should play Cyclops.
Hashtag make Cyclops black.
Yeah, I think that casting Cyclops as a black man would go a long way.
There should definitely be a black Cyclops.
You know damn well I want a black Cyclops.
It's time for a black Cyclops.
We need a black Cyclops now.
Hey look, Cyclops was right. You know what else Cyclops needs to be? Black.
We want a black Cyclops.
Abdul-Mateen for Cyclops. Give the people what they want.
It's 2020, and it's about time that we have a black Cyclops.
It's time we have a black Cyclops.
That was beautiful. And I'd like to thank everyone who participated, sharing their opinion. There are many more. The streets are talking, and it is time for a black Cyclops. And let us hope he is Yahya Abdul-Mateen. That's who I got my money on. You listening, Feige? You listening? So the next thing I want to move on to DC Fandome. Now this weekend is going to be hyper celebration. There's an argument as to whether this is a celebration or if this is admitting defeat. There is a war going on outside that no member of any fandom is safe from. And it is the war between management and creators and artists. It goes back to counterculture before that there's always going to be the dude in the suit is trying to oppress the simple artist, who's wearing a tie-dye shirt, just trying to chill and tell a story. Now, recently in DC Comics this very week, they gutted DC Comics. Tons of firing, all these editors. Remember, editors, the relationship between an editor is what gets the artist or the writer a job. So a lot of these people will not be seeing for future work. I want to show you the irony of it all. So the very day before they gutted DC Comics, I actually filmed an episode while I was on vacation in the Poconos about my thoughts on DC Fandome. Here is past, 1 week old, naive Fat Mantis on his vacation. Please enjoy. So in Westchester, there was a light storm and there was some wind, and apparently we lost all power and telecommunications, and there were no showers to be had, there was no internet to be had. It was a living hell. So me and my friends went to the Poconos. We're taking showers, we're surfing the web, we're over here in a lake. I'm actually standing in the lake right now. See that? Yeah. Right there in the water. It's beautiful. So basically, for the rest of you Westchesterites, you're a bunch of suckers. DC Fandome, what you're really hearing about, you need to tune in if you're a nerd, because what DC Fandome is, it is essentially an insult to the essence of this year's Comic-Con, where actual official DC panels didn't exist, and they've created their own panel system, where on Saturday, August 22nd, they're going to have everything DC, everything from comics to children's books to movies to cartoons to video games, all their talent, everything, everyone's going to be there, and you've got to go there. And here's why. If this goes right and they're able to one-up Comic-Con essentially with all these things, they will not only hit the history books, but it is essentially a vote for DC. Everyone says that DC is garbage. Everybody says they're not as good as Marvel, and their movies, just because their movies aren't that great, and they have a disjointed, universe and all this stuff, and they don't have it. For instance, if you're an Ayer cut fan and you want to see an Ayer cut, you need to hope that
the Snyder Cut is successful. The more successful the Snyder Cut is, the more likely you're gonna get an Ayer cut. It's that simple, because you're voting for it. You know, like, I'll give you an example. There's a certain actor who there's a rumor that he did not have Zack Snyder's back, you know, when the Joss Whedon switch around went. However, Zack Snyder's being totally cool with him. You know why? As long as we have a unified family presence, everyone's gonna get what they want. Zack Snyder's gonna get his cut. We're gonna get our cut. We're gonna get our HBO Max content that we've been desperately looking for, and all these things. So basically what I'm saying is, if you like anything DC, I'm talking about literally anything. If you're like one of those people who just like Harley Quinn and just discovered DC like 6 months ago, tune into this stuff, make it happen. I know you might have to stay up late or go do weird hours, you might have to, you know, ditch your friends or whatever, but I'm telling you, it's gonna be worth it, man. I have a feeling they're gonna drop way more bombs, might drop moments that Comic-Con should have had.
And do you see that? He's wide-eyed, he's happy, he's embracing it all. But the question is, now that this has happened, am I that same person? Because when I'm watching DC Fandome this Saturday at 1 p.m., 1 to 9, there's going to be a bittersweetness. How can I not think of those editors? How can I not think of the changing times? How can I not think of the eventual wave that's going to hit Marvel Comics and change the industry forever? It's only a matter of time. So, you know, it is unfortunate that looms over it all. We have to move on to our third and final story on this one. The other day I was having this online conversation with people, and they were talking about, you know, there's a bunch of sex scandals going on in Hollywood as usual, like television and movie execs. And apparently a couple of them are getting caught with the same mistress. Like, they're like passing her around, but really she's turning the tables on them. When she doesn't get her stardom, she nails them. And a lot of things that are nailing them are receipts. Now, for those of you who don't know what a receipt is you know, when you leave essentially physical evidence on the digital space by leaving a comment. You know, an old person will leave an email. Someone a little more hip might be a direct message on a social media thing, but it's all there. You just take a screenshot. So even if it gets deleted, you could be like, and the reason why this is coming up recently is Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are using receipts to, you know, in their divorce, to prove how emotionally abusive they both are to each other. So that's, I'm sorry I'm laughing. It is hysterical, but it is totally messed up that this is what's going on. And, you know, basically I have to say this. If you are not using the person, if your aim is not to actually use the person, and you have genuine concern for that person who might be a celebrity, or they might be an exec, or whatever, and there might be a reason why they have to cover up their thing. I'm hoping this isn't a marriage situation, but I'm not judging. And that they need to cover this situation up. I think that if you actually care about them, you will not be upset by the who dis phenomenon. I think you know what I mean. A lot of people are saying, why don't these execs happen when their mistresses text them? Instead of starting talking about their affair, why don't they say, who dis? And the fear is you're going to piss off your mistress or whoever you're with. And it really comes down to this. If you really care about this person, you're going to understand that they are obviously scared for their career. They're scared for their fortune. They're scared for their fame, their reputation. And if you really care about them, you will understand that occasionally you might get a who dis. I think that you need to be understanding, because you know, at the end of the day, if you're trying to form a relationship with somebody, you're not just partners and you're not just friends. You're also collaborators. And you want them to understand, to trust you, and be able to open up the trust. Now, here's what I'm saying. If you're about to have a kid with the person, or you're about to get married, or you're a fiance, and they're still doing that, then you got an issue. Our online conversation mutated into why are men such pigs? And my counter argument is it's not just men. Nowadays, women executives and women who have a lot of power nowadays, I promise you, they're yielding a ton of power nowadays, are doing the same things. Women are entertaining as much vice as men are. And, you know, everything I'm about to say is complete hearsay. I have no evidence on this woman at all. But I promise you that Kathleen Kennedy, the head of Lucasfilm, when The Force Awakens made over $2 billion at the box office, she did not celebrate by going home and making mac and cheese for her kids. I promise you, her night went something like this. It was a glass of rye, it was a cigar, and it was the rest of the night with the youngest intern she could find. I am betting you that's what went down. Another one that I want to point out is Amy Pascal. Now, you all know her. She's the Spider-Man. You know, she's already considered a wild child. Look at her. She's got those crazy eyes. But she has another feature. And a lot of women talk about this in terms of men. And the feature is she looks like a creep. I'm sorry, Amy, but that's how it goes down. Basically, she, you know, I'd be fine to work with her. I would love to do it. But she puts off an energy that I feel like I would never want to be alone with this woman. Like, if I went in a room alone with her, I'm not sure what would happen. I'm sure she's thinking, any young man, one glass of champagne is all it takes. And that is not the person I am. You know, if that's your deal, that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, she's the type of person that I'd work with. But I'd make sure that there was no physical contact and I wouldn't never be alone with her. I've always had someone else around because, you know what I'm getting at. But, so there you have it. There's my episode for the day. Thanks for tuning in. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about Cougar executives? Are they predatory or is that just a man's world? Also, what are your thoughts on Yahya Abdul-Mateen? We need to keep this argument going because I really want to see. I was surprised at seeing some people who didn't want to participate in the video and they're like, Cyclops can't be black. I need to know more about this. Also, I need to know what your thoughts on Fandome are. Are you gonna go? Are you gonna go with jubilance? Are you gonna hate watch like me? Or really, are you gonna pretend to hate watch but really be having the time of your life because you can't wait to see what Black Adam's all about? Please let me know in the comments. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And remember to keep tuning in for Voice of the Fat Mantis for all more shenanigans, updates on comics, horror movies, and all sorts of reviews. I love you all. Until next time, ciao for now.
Captain Marvel 2, Nia DaCosta happens to be a black woman. And if you notice, Brie Larson ain't no black chick. No, I'm sure she wishes she was. Is I think by the end of this movie, it might be a handoff movie. Who will inhabit the powers at the end of this but Monica Rambeau? I'm gonna go enjoy this beautiful day. I'm gonna swim. I don't do beaches because I don't like swimming. That's a topic for another day.